Hello everyone, today we're going to do a quick video. I've been meaning to make a video about the pentagram, and that is the five-pointed star. So this is the Hermetic tree, and we'll get back to it. So the pentagram is associated with the number 5, okay? So instantly we can draw conclusions to the Hierophant. Sorry, I had to think about how to spell it for a moment there. All right, so the Hierophant, and then basically any attribute of the number 5 that we can think of. So we can think of Ibura on the Tree of Life, and of course that's the Mars force. Okay, so basically this is what a pentagram looks like. We're just going to do basics. And those of you that are a little more seasoned, this will be a little review, but that's okay. So traditionally in paganism or Golden Dawn traditions, you'll see the pentagram, but you also see a circle around it, okay? Now, circles in ceremonial magic, they usually mean a sense of protection, and that's because God, or like the first emanation from God, because God is eternal, it's nothingness and everything at once, it has no beginning, it has no end, usually is represented by a circle, okay? Now the pentagram traditionally represents the 5 elements. So if we were to draw our pentagram again, we'll do it with the 5 elements. And the idea is that in the pentagram we have 5 elements. Now you might think, well, don't we really just have 4? Well, no. There's actually spirit up here. Okay, so we have spirit at the top. Then on the left-hand side, we have fire. Then we have water. Okay. Yes, I go back and forth between uppercase and lowercase. I had somebody judge me for it once, and I felt kind of bad. But you know what? That's just who I am. Fire, water, air, and earth. Okay, so as you can see, we have the more dense elements on the bottom, and then we have spirit at the top. So one thing I like to tell my students and my peers is that the 4 bottom elements support spirit up here. So spirit can't exist without these 4 elements, and these 4 elements can't exist without spirit. Okay? And they all work together. They all enclose each other. Okay? So circles kind of seal something. They give it protection. When magicians or ceremonial magic practitioners draw a circle, they're sealing themselves or that energy in a specific spot. So sigils usually will be on a wax circle, and they'll write their sigil with Hebraic letters or whatever language they choose with their geometric shapes and their intended charge for it. Sigils are usually made on wax, okay? You can also make them on paper, basically anything that you can create artwork with, but traditionally they're made on wax. I've also seen them on stone, paper, like I said, cardboard, basically anything you can draw art on. So again, we'll get back to the pentagram because that's what we're here for. The 4 elements. So I'll give you some basics on the 4 elements. So we have fire, which represents drive, action. It also could represent reproduction. So we have the Mars force here. Okay, Mars is traditionally associated with fire, right? Okay. Now, on the right, let's move over to water. Water is associated with a couple different planets, but we are going to assign it to Jupiter right now, okay? So, Jupiter, I believe it co-rules, well, I think Cancer is ruled by the moon, but Jupiter might be exalted in it. I'm not quite sure. I can't really remember right now, but I'm pretty sure that it is. So we have the water force, and we're going to assign it to Jupiter. Now, air, we're going to assign it to the powers of Mercury. Now, I didn't really talk about the properties of water. So water has to do with emotion, how we feel, how we want to give to the world. Also is cognitive, not cognitive ability, but emotional intellect. So why don't we just throw up the moon here too? We'll put the moon up here. They co-rule. They co-rule water. But in the Hermetic tree, Jupiter rules the water energy. So air represents intellect. It represents how we think. Now, if you notice, there's a little bit of opposites here. Water's how we feel. Air's how we think. And then we have this moving force of Mars, this action, aggression, moving forward, okay? So thinking, you have to take time, rest, okay? Thinking can happen quickly, but, for deep thought to happen, you also want to take time and sit back and really analyze everything. So it's kind of an opposite of fire where everything happens kind of quickly. Now, water and air's intellect, water's emotion. So those are two separate polar opposite forces, right? So our emotions and intellect are both invisible forces within our body, both invisible substances in our beingness, but they also create our human experience. So all of these things you can't necessarily see, especially fire or action or will or drive, emotion and intellect, but we can't see their specific substances, but we can see the product of these substances. Now, Earth is the only tangible thing that we can actually see. So Earth, we're actually going to assign it to our planet, Earth. It's the densest of the three, okay? Some people also like to assign Venus to Earth, okay? So you'll notice that water and Earth kind of have two planetary assignments. They both kind of are ruled by different things. Different but the same. They both have similar planetary powers. In some ways, not always. Let me correct myself. In some ways, they're very similar. Subtly different, but subtle is significant. So we have our basic pentagram. Now, spirit, we can just label it God. All right. So God is up there. Hang on one second. Okay. So yeah, we have the pentagram, and up here is God or source. And the idea is that these energies came from the top and spiraled. Fire was emanated first, and then fire willed into water, and we have alchemy right here, fire mixing with water. And we also have another alchemical equation of air and earth mixing into these upper ones. And so they all mix, and they mix into this God power, this spirit power. Okay, so now what about this hermetic tree? So remember this, keep this in mind. Now, doesn't this look a little familiar? So we have the powers of fire, red. So red is traditionally associated with fire. We have the powers of water. We have the powers of air, and we have the powers of earth. We can literally overlay the pentagram onto the hermetic tree. Now we have an amazing little cool pentagram here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So in the center of this pentagram, we have Tifereth. And then on the top, we have the invisible spear of Da'at. And Da'at is representing spirit. So we have the spirit force right here, okay? So pretty dang cool. Now, for those of you that know a little bit about Spinoza, he believed that there was a cause and effect in the world. And here's cause. Cause is action, and then effect is represented by the powers of water or the powers of Mercury. And if we think about it, our emotions are effects by our causes, from our causes in life. Now, this is when it gets really cool. So we are going to look at the Hierophant now. So on the Hierophant card, we actually have a pentagram inside of the image. Now the Hierophant is associated to the number 5, so instantly we can draw conclusions to basically everything number 5, and I'll show you where this pentagram is in the card. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So literally the Hierophant is the sphere of Da'at, okay? Now, when we go to the Hierophant, we're seeking higher knowledge, okay? And Da'at in the Tree of Life is associated with knowledge. It's the mixture of wisdom and understanding. What makes this even cooler is that here we have roses, which represent desire, and here we have lilies, which represent the pursuit of knowledge, you know, basically the idea of pursuing what we need and what we truly want to know, okay, insight. Now these are opposite. If we were to look at our tree again, desire would be associated with Netzach, more Netzach energies, and then the pursuit of knowledge would be associated with more towards like mercurial energies. Okay, but if we were to be the Hierophant facing outward onto the clergy, these two would actually be switched. So it's just yin yang, switch, switch, switch. Sometimes in tarot you have to use your imagination. So we're going to move on to another card. And we actually have a pentagram again in the Lovers. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So this time the angel is the tip or the spirit, or, you know, we could think of the sun. And yeah, I mean, again, we have Netzach, the man desiring the woman, okay? And then she's communicating to the angel, so we have Hod or Mercury here, the powers of Mercury, communication. And last but certainly not least, or maybe it's least, we actually do have another pentagram in this picture, so there's 2 actually in this. We have 1, 2, 3, I'm counting the wings, 4, 5. So we have one here, boom, 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 boom. But we also have one opposite. So we have 1, 2, wait up. So we have, this would be the tip. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, I believe. But yeah, so if we were to use our imagination, we would also have a pentagram here. Boom, 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 boom. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so this, in this case, the binding force, or the tip, would be in Yesod, which basically connects the rest of the tree to everything. So it makes sense that it would be connected to this, I consider it a door. I think it's a doorway that the devil is tempting the two to walk through after they take their chains off. But, you know, this isn't a video about the devil. It's about pentagrams and the tarot. All right. Hope everyone's having a great night. And we will make more content soon. Thank you.